For a few years, AI models got rapidly smarter with every single release. But recently, that steep climb in raw reasoning power hit a ceiling. That context matters for SpaceX AI's release of Grok 4.6. The launch marketing declares the company has returned to the very edge of frontier capabilities. To see where the model actually lands, we have to look past the announcement at the independent measurements from artificial analysis. This line graph tracks top AI intelligence scores over the last 18 months. Grok 4.6 moved up 5 points on the composite index, matching GPT 5.6 Sol while trailing Claude Opus 5. On this crowded plateau, that 5-point bump is a steady iteration, not a generational leap. When the top models are sitting within 2 points of each other, choosing your API based on who technically holds the #1 spot is a mistake. It distracts you from the actual shift happening in the industry. If the top 3 models deliver nearly identical reasoning capabilities, how do development teams and enterprise buyers actually decide which system to build on? Grok 4.6 forces the question by offering a specific trade-off. You give up the absolute peak score on the leaderboard, and in exchange, you get GPT 5.6 level reasoning at a radically lower cost. For companies processing heavy workloads, an 80% reduction in output costs enables agent deployments that were previously prohibitive. Grok 4.6 marks the exact moment the competition among the major labs stopped being about who is smartest and became about who is smartest per dollar. Historically, a smarter model guaranteed a higher bill. Grok 4.6 broke that trend by holding its headline price exactly the same as the previous generation. Output tokens are where reasoning workloads drain budgets. On this comparison table, Grok 4.6 sits at $6 per million. Claude Opus 5 is $25. GPT 5.6 Sol is $30. Mapping cost per task against intelligence on a quadrant chart, Grok 4.6 lands isolated in the high-intelligence, low-cost sector. There is a minor trade-off to factor in. The cash hit discount actually worsened, rising to 50 cents per million tokens. Workflows that constantly reread massive, static documents won't see the full magnitude of these savings. But for standard generation and reasoning tasks, you are securing OpenAI tier results while cutting your output costs by 80%. The sticker price is only half the math. The other half is turn efficiency, the number of back-and-forth steps an autonomous AI agent needs to solve a problem without a human correcting it. This split-screen bar chart shows the independent AA briefcase benchmark for long-horizon agents. Grok 4.6 reaches a comparable answer in roughly 53 turns and 500 million tokens. Claude Opus 5 requires 103 turns, burning through 2 billion tokens. Long-running agents accumulate context with every single step. Finishing the task in half the turns means you stop paying for all that heavy, late-stage context. The strategic catch is that Grok is a closed, hosted-only ecosystem. You can rent this incredible efficiency, but you cannot download the weights and own it. Still, if you are a developer running agents at high volume, that compounding turn efficiency preserves your margins. It is the single most disruptive feature of this release. Before migrating your infrastructure, you need to look past the vendor's self-reported marketing claims, especially regarding coding capability. Take a look at this scorecard for Terminal Bench. The launch copy prominently features an 88% score, but that was on an older version of the test. On the newer version, 3.0, independent testing puts Grok 4.6 at 26%, trailing its main competitors. Beyond the benchmarks, you also have to evaluate SpaceX AI's safety philosophy. The company operates with a highly aggressive, capability-forward posture. They prioritize speed, pushing advanced agentic tools and security-adjacent capabilities directly into production for developers to use immediately. Compare that to the rest of the industry. The very same week Grok 4.6 launched, competing labs intentionally held back their open weights to conduct lengthy cyber capability safety reviews. Enterprise buyers face a clear choice. You get instant access to aggressive features, but your own engineering team takes on the heavy burden of building the internal guardrails. With capabilities clustered together and prices wildly divergent, your procurement decision comes down to your primary operational constraint. Here's the decision tree. If your constraint is scale and budget, the path maps to Grok 4.6. Output pricing wins decisively. For absolute peak reasoning, Claude Opus 5 is the choice. Finally, strict enterprise compliance means you hit a hold and evaluate phase. You aren't shopping for the smartest overall model anymore. You are shopping for the specific model that solves your operational bottleneck. We are in a holding pattern for massive leaps in base reasoning. Right now, the major labs are focusing on economic optimization. If you are a startup scaling a product or a developer running multi-turn autonomous agents, Grok 4.6 was engineered specifically for your economics. If you are a research lab that requires uncompromised logic regardless of the final API bill, you can safely skip this release. Frontier intelligence is now functioning like a fast-moving commodity market. The product is standardizing, and the competition is strictly on price. Chasing the absolute top of the leaderboard is a trap. Calculate your cost per completed task, pick the model that protects your margins, and get back to building.